Alrighty. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Chit Chat and Chill. I am Shantae Harrison, one of the panelists tonight, and I am joined by Matito and Pork.
Yep, pork.
We're going to be talking about Afghanistan and the craziness that's going on right now over there, here, the media, Biden, his leadership, the presidency. I think there's just a lot to unpack with this topic. And we had a viewer who posted on our post earlier about he was interested in listening, and he had posted something around how Trump signed that deal originally, and that's kind of where this all started. And I kind of wanted to start there because I feel like this whole thing, people keep people are either blaming Trump or they're defending him, and I feel like we can start there to just say, okay, what did Trump do? What did he sign?
Yeah.
And then, so maybe Santino, did you want to talk about
Well, first, I don't think anybody's really blaming Trump necessarily. I think that's something that they're trying to push because if you look at the numbers, Biden's numbers are tanking. Like, I mean, something like 30. He has like 37% approval on this Afghanistan thing. So I'm not saying that there are some issues like with people bringing up that this is like somehow Trump is responsible. I mean, I'm not saying it's not happening, but to the scale that the media wants you to believe that is, I think regular red-blooded Americans know better. But just to address some of that, Kash Patel, who is Trump's chief of staff, one of his chief of staff at the Pentagon. He was the one that was one of his responsibilities was to come up with a plan to draw down the Afghanistan war. And their plan was very specific, and it was very condition based. I'm gonna just read it off of here. I wrote an op-ed for the New York Post. It said the Afghan government and the Taliban were both told they would face the full force of the U.S. military if they caused any harm to Americans or American interests in Afghanistan. So that goes along with that timeline, how we didn't experience any like military deaths in Afghanistan for since what was it?
February 2020.
February 2020, right? Yeah, that was kind of there's a part
their end.
Yeah. So the first thing that we're looking at here is military force is not off the table. We're maintaining the threat of force in that country, and that's major for deterrence. So it said next, both parties would negotiate to create an interim joint government, and both sides had to repudiate Al-Qaeda. And then lastly, a small special ops force would be stationed in country to take direct action against any terrorist threats that arose. And it said when all those conditions were met, along with other cascading conditions, then withdrawal could and did begin. So it was very conditions based, and then I know some of the other part they had no plan. This is per Trump, they had no plan to ever abandon Bagram Air Base. Which, strategically was a stupid move for them to completely withdraw from that. We have an air base in a country that borders China and Iran. Yeah, let's give that up. Yeah. This kind of, how we were kind of clowning Biden during the election and calling him Beijing Biden. Well, crap like this.
Right. So much, yeah.
Crap like this, So, the Biden administration. So in the op-ed, Patel, says that they handed the plan over to the Biden administration during the transition, and where did he say it? Because I loved it. That we handed our entire plan to the incoming Biden administration during the lengthy transition. The new team simply wasn't interested. So they trashed it, and then they, instead of instead of drawing down and getting our people out, they just went like cold turkey and like took more importantly took the military out like right away. And of course, look at it, first comment: didn't Trump abandon bases to Russia? Who cares about Russia right now?
Well,
are we dealing with Russia at this time? Like, we just handed China a strategic victory.
I think the problem we need to keep focusing on is
this is another deflection to like,
but exactly,
Orange
we have
Man
to focus
bad.
on Afghanistan, and we have to focus on what's
know?
happening. And that's what I was saying. Like, let's start with what Trump did. I want to talk about what Trump did.
Syria? That was Obama's mess. I mean, keep going here.
Syria had nothing to do
Okay.
with
Hold on.
I mean, Trump defeated ISIS in 6 months.
Hold on, because this is exactly what I don't want to get into. Because I feel every presidency, you know, with Obama blaming Bush, with every Trump blaming Obama, and now Biden blaming Trump. We can go there. That's fine. But the bottom line is that a presidency is 4 years, and there's a transition that happened. And that's what is important that I felt like I wanted to just point out. There was a plan. There was a transition. It was communicated, and Biden has known about this. So as president, he could have acted in a different way. We could have gotten to a different result. Go ahead, Theo.
Yeah. And what's really important is Trump ran on pulling out of Afghanistan. And when he got into office, he said, oh, wait a minute. This is not. And he openly stated this. This was my plan. Now that I learned everything behind the scenes, I realize it's not a realistic plan. Because if we leave, the Taliban will come right back in, and we'll be back right in the situation we were in before. So he forecasted this for everyone at the beginning of his presidency. And he said he was going to start limiting troops or whatever, and he was going to work out a deal to get us out of there. And that's exactly what he did.
Right. And everyone agrees we need to leave Afghanistan, or we had to leave. And so I think people would agree with Trump's setup that was what we were trying to do, and that's what we wanted. Not that he was the president everyone hates, fine. But you agree, because everyone's saying they agree now, that we had to get out of Afghanistan. So that was a plan to start that in motion. And now we have a president who had the ability and the knowledge to do something with that. Yeah. And it just
and at first they lied. They were trying to say that they had no idea that it was going to, that the Taliban was going to take Afghanistan as quickly as they did. And they said that initially, and then all of a sudden now all the intel, all the information that's coming out is that they did know. The intelligence agencies were telling them, and they just chose not to act. And and all it was, and the big scandal here are, it's two things. It's the equipment, the military equipment that are left behind, right? $80 billion worth of equipment. And most importantly, the American citizens and Afghan allies that we left behind.
Right. I wanted to play this clip around what he said that he was going to do for American citizens, and then what actually happened a few hours ago.
Americans should understand the troops might have to be there beyond August 31st.
No, Americans should understand that we're going to try to get it done before August 31st.
But if we don't, the troops will stay.
If we don't, we'll determine at the time who's left.
And
if there are if there's American citizens left, we're going to stay till we get them all out.
Americans should understand the troops might have to be there beyond August 31st.
No, Americans should understand that we're going to try.
Okay, stop. So that's what happened. Maybe I won't do full screen on this one.
No American citizens came out on the last, what we call the Joint Tactical Exfiltration, the last 5 jets to leave. We maintained the ability to bring them in up until immediately before departure, but we were not able to bring any Americans out. That activity ended probably about 12 hours before our exit, although we continued the outreach and would have been prepared to bring them on until the very last minute, but none of them made it to the airport and were able to be accommodated.
So we left 250 American citizens behind.
That they know of.
Yeah.
Or that they'll say. So another issue with that, when you listen to the language, we were trying to reach them. They couldn't get to the airport. We've known all about this since last week. Yeah. They would not extend the deadline. So that's on them. That's not a, oh, well, I mean, because for the last 3-4 days, they've been saying, don't come to the airport.
Yeah.
So then how are they supposed to leave?
Yeah.
It's
and and then even the language that they use, that like, oh, well, the Taliban's in charge. There's nothing they can do. What do you mean? What do you mean? And and I think it's hilarious. This on the heels of the information coming out, I think yesterday, of those retired special forces guys who linked up, used their own private money.
Yep.
Linked up, went into Afghanistan and pulled like almost 600 of their allies out. It's like 520 something people, I think, or some outrageous number like that. And you mean to tell me that the U.S. military, the government, does not have the capabilities to do this? But these guys went on their own dime over there and got this done. Like that right there, that story alone is like the full failure of this administration.
It's just really frustrating to watch too, all of the coverage and everything that's going on. And I know people are really like upset. This is the most upset I've seen people with Biden. I mean, we've had our moments, right, that we've talked about where he's sort of like not there mentally, not competent. And now this is just like, okay, if you're not like really beyond angry right now, there's something wrong.
This is the only logical conclusion to what people on the right have been saying. He's not all there. Yeah. How many times have we heard over the last, I don't know, few months, oh, I don't know if I can talk about this. I shouldn't be. They told me I can't call on you. They told me I can't answer questions. These are things that should have shown us, hey, wait a minute. If this guy's not in charge, is he the president of the United States? Who is they? Because he said it as recently as yesterday. Oh, they told me that I'm not taking questions on this. Like, you're the president of the United States. What do you mean they? Who is they? I want to know who they is.
China.
They are running the country, and he clearly isn't. And if it is, I don't know. I don't know who it is. But why is I haven't seen any reporters talk about they. Like,
there's no outrage.
He had that paper in front of him. He was like, let's see this list they gave me, and I'm supposed to call this person. Like, what?
You're the president.
There's no accountability. The stark contrast between this and the Trump administration is so obvious at this point that it's like, okay, if you were ignoring it before, okay, like we're trying to turn off the TV and ignore it and just not watch him speak. But you can't ignore this now. People are literally dying based off the decisions he's making. Yeah. Young kids in our military who trust in our government to protect them and to send them on missions that make sense. And this is what's happening. And he's just there. Like you said, taking orders from who?
And oddly, he said it multiple times. The buck stops here, but he doesn't take any responsibility for it. Well, they ask him, like, is this on you? No, I didn't do it. They know, and he's blaming the people who were there because he said every 3 weeks we told them we were going to leave. Okay, I don't think anybody on earth, including people over there, could have thought you were literally going to up and leave in one day. Like, they didn't prepare anything. They didn't start removing any weapons, any vehicles. They didn't start shutting anything down. They just disappeared.
Yeah.
I read somewhere that the CIA got all their assets out, right? Like weeks ago. I thought that was interesting because they knew it was coming.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we had a May 1st date and we're in August. So there has to have been events that maybe we weren't privy to that have been happening behind the scenes to the point where, like you said, other people have worked to get their people out. So what were we doing and where did we go wrong? And it's just so frustrating to watch and not get real answers.
If there were those events, why is everything still there? Why are the Afghans so surprised? Why are we on TV calling them cowards, essentially, when we removed all aerial support, we removed all technical support, and just left them?
Yeah.
Well, if they're not going to stay there and defend themselves, well, they have no support.
Yeah, what was it that one general wrote that op-ed he was an Afghani general. He wrote something about that, how because Biden's essentially the one that called them cowards. that they simply gave up. And this general wrote in that article talking about how they were fighting, and they were fighting, and they were fighting, and they were dying, and having and all the while U.S. air support was just circling overhead, spectating, and not actively engaging.
And the U.S. has not been the main people fighting this war for the last, 10 years.
Yeah.
It has been the Afghan soldiers. So something changed, and it ain't them. They've been trained. They have everything they need, but we were the support. So
yeah, that's the thing is they trained their other operational training was based on having our support.
Exactly. Because at no point did they think, hey, tomorrow we're gone, and you're just sitting there.
You don't get to that point where you guys were saying that people were
and this is why you keep Bagram Air Base. Like this is why you keep the damn air base.
I just would love to have been on a fly on the wall when they were trying to figure out what to do, and how did we get to this point? How are we here right now?
I mean, it's yeah. And I know even like and going like to the equipment and stuff, which is crazy to me. Like there was videos today showing them flying Black Hawk helicopters, and they hung someone from the helicopter. Yep. So much for the Taliban trying to come out and saying that they've changed, right? Like we hanging people from helicopters again. This is a thing.
Well, they've changed. But so with that equipment, even if they don't figure it out, they can sell it to China. Like this is our most. It's so critical. I just don't understand.
Yeah,
I would say thought process, but there isn't one. There's a lack of a thought process because we got to the point where 2 days in, we're like, hey, maybe we should blow everything up, dude. You've had 8 months to prepare for this. What do you mean? Maybe we should go back and start blowing stuff up. It shouldn't be there. And if it's going to be there, it should have been taken care of before we left.
Right. Exactly. You can't just all of a sudden have a plan.
Yeah, we need to go back and start blowing stuff
Hindsight.
up. But that makes no sense. It's so backwards and it's so offensive. And it's terrifying to know that this guy is in charge and he can't even call on the right reporter.
Do you think he'll be impeached?
Should he be or will he be?
Do you think he'll be impeached? I've seen a few people call for it, but obviously it's like Republicans.
He'll be more likely removed for competence.
It was like the 25th Amendment.
Yeah, he's not going to be impeached. They'd never admit
to
doing something that bad and that dumb as to bring in somebody out there.
I don't even see them 25th amendmenting the guy because that would be embarrassing for the party.
They'll have to though. There's no way this guy's making.
I say that they're you know what they would let it crash and burn. I truthfully believe these lefties, these Democrats will let it crash and burn.
No,
are you? Can't.
No,
I think they're anti-American already.
I mean, that's debatable, but what's his rating? His approval rating right now?
I think it's like 40, 46, 47. Yeah. 47. Yeah, it's something around there. LaShawn brings up a good point though, but they were supposed to be training for us to leave eventually. And that's fair. I get that's fair, but the thing is at the same time though, you're still fighting in country. So like you need to how do you focus on fighting for the current war that you're in while also training for the future war? It would be a tough road to navigate.
And realistically, we're still in Korea. You know what I mean? So we're still in Germany, we're still in Japan, we're still in almost 100 places around the world. So yes, we're supposed to be leaving, but that doesn't mean we're completely gone and just abandoning, especially a strategic place like that, because that's just not what we do. It doesn't make sense to up and leave it to the very people who. Yeah,
and especially like, this isn't like a Vietnam situation. You know what I mean? This is, we were still there stabilizing that country. Vietnam, we were, it was a mess. You know what I mean? Like They had us like politically up against the ropes. They did not here in this case.
No, we only had 2,800 people there, and support roles. Like, and we took the support away, and that's what caused all these issues.
And then had to send the troops right back. Like, how frustrating.
Well, they sent
More.
more. They sent more troops than
No.
Trump had in office or in country. Yeah,
Like,
because they had 2,500 troops under Trump at its lowest, and then now they sent like 6,000 back in. But I guess now, but now I guess they're all gone now, right? The last flights are leaving, and going back to what Biden's saying that every American's going to get out. Now they're saying that we left some people behind. Why they stop flights? We still have 24 hours there, based on the Taliban's deadline. Because I guess we got to listen to the Taliban now. Do you guys think it's a little weird? Like, wasn't it weird to anybody?
A little weird.
It's very weird. So we left early and we left people behind. Is basically what you're saying. We left early. We left people behind.
And the Taliban's calling the shots, so we can't do anything about it.
We're being told what to do by the very people we went into Afghanistan to remove. Does that make sense to anybody? Like, I don't.
Yeah, I don't know. Afghan is ahead of us in time. I mean,
we ran out of time.
I mean, we gotta be on American time.
Well, they're 3 days ahead of time because that's the last time many Americans were taken out.
I don't understand why this guy didn't go and try to push the deadline further. You like, hear me out. Like, you've already been proven to be weak, right? At this point, like Biden looked weak. He really did. Like, not only is he like frail as hell looking, let's be honest here. The dude can't even like stay awake in an interview with the prime minister of Israel. I don't know if you guys saw that. He fell asleep mid-interview. And
this was a few days ago.
Yeah,
right? This was a couple of days ago. He was like sleeping. Like,
and then somebody said when they were doing the service for the soldiers, he looked at his watch.
He's checking his watch.
Yeah. So he's looking like super weak, and it's like, but the Taliban's calling the shots. We can't, I
don't think anyone's.
I'm not gonna extend the deadline. Because the Taliban went and sent us a condition. You guys remember that tweet? Like, the Taliban was like, "Oh, we're not gonna extend anything. Like, everyone must be out by the 31st or face the consequences." Man, what would Trump have done, dude? That's all I gotta say. Like, hear me out. Even if Trump botched this, and Trump was facing the same situation, the second that dude went and tweeted that to Trump, like, what do you think Trump was gonna do? Like, he'd probably level that palace with all of them inside. Like, whoops.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But you know what? But we need
that.
When we have Americans still left behind in this country, we need someone like that. We need that asshole.
Well, it's not just that. It's just with global affairs in general. It's weak versus strong, like you were saying. And it just sucks because, yes, I think we were stronger. People were more scared of us when Trump was in charge. Yeah. But like I've told you guys before, I just hate that he was such a jerk and an asshole, because you could have strength without the asshole part. And he just.
I don't think you can, though. So when you're dealing with these people, they literally used what happened last week, or how long has it been? About a week and a half. China used it to make threats. Like, see, they're not
Taiwan.
with you.
Yeah, they made it against Taiwan. And it was, and they even said, like, when war happens. That was the verbiage they used.
I remember that.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is what they'll do to you. So it's not about us or the citizenry. It's about these tyrants, and it's about these governments who have no fear. You need someone like him, or at least someone who's willing to do whatever and not just say, well, sorry, they're the ones protecting us. You're insane. Like, you're certifiably insane to even say that out loud. There's videos of them sorting through cash, like stacks and stacks of money. You have all these guns lined up What's that?
The Taliban.
Yes, right now. So again, even if they can't use a lot of this stuff, they can just sell it. Russia and China will buy it all.
Yep.
And they'll reverse engineer it. And now if anything happens, we're going against our own equipment. That's why we blow this stuff up or take it. But to say, if we had to push the deadline back, why did we? Why couldn't we have started back in May taking this stuff out?
Right. I don't even know
that deadline as your beginning point, and you still have May to June, July, August, 3 months. Instead, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, 2 weeks into August, everyone's gone.
Yeah.
And we haven't lost anybody since February of last year, like I said, and then all of a sudden, surprise, surprise, two or three suicide bomber attacks, and we lost Americans.
Yeah. 14 Americans, 170 people dead.
Yeah.
Something like that, very close. I think 13 soldiers and like 170.
Yeah, and a lot of those people, a lot of those, the non-American deaths, a lot of those people were our allies there. People who were trying to get into that airport, people who put their asses on the line for our mission to protect, to have the backs of our soldiers.
And back to that how would Trump have responded to that tweet? The irony is that they're able to tweet and he's not.
And Trump can't.
Known terrorists and representatives of terrorists, and they're out there tweeting stuff like this, anti-American stuff, and I guess that's okay.
I mean,
our American companies are okay with it. They're okay with that terrorism, and they're okay with them using WhatsApp to communicate.
I mean, threats to the United States of America. That meets our company guidelines.
Yeah, that makes perfect
sense. It's all dumb. I mean, look at Biden when he went in when he justified Chinese concentration camps for the Uyghurs.
What?
When he justified it as we have to respect cultural differences.
Yeah.
He said that recently?
No, this was like months ago, dude.
Yeah,
this is when you guys were all writing the bliss of no more mean tweets.
Yeah.
And everybody noped out of politics. All of a sudden, like, all of a sudden nobody had anything to say about anything political. That homie went and explained Chinese concentration camps as we need to be understanding of cultural differences.
Yep.
How the fuck did I miss that? And it's just so stupid because people were so focused on China and Russia when Trump was in office, but now all of a sudden you got his fucking kid on drugs talking about his 5th laptop just got stolen by Russia. I'm talking about Biden's son Hunter. And then
did you see his art scam?
Don't forget racist.
Yeah, he's racist. And did you see his art scam? No. That dude is selling paintings that he's doing this dude's like fucking Leonardo da Vinci or something, and he's selling these paintings for like $500,000. This is the way wealthy people launder money.
Yep.
By the way, if any of you guys don't know this, like the audience and stuff, like that's how like wealthy people launder their money through like expensive arts, right? So it's launder money, and it also buys influence.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who really thinks Hunter Biden's paintings are worth $500,000?
Well, he never painted before this year, so
I envisioned like a stick figure.
Well, he's using a straw. He's doing these weird. They're hideous paintings, but hey, they're paintings
like that. Like I said, that's how wealthy people launder money. That's how wealthy people buy influence. You know, in the same way we're talking about people. We're talking about Bill Clinton making $500,000 to give speeches. Hillary Clinton $500,000 to give speeches. That's not what they're paying for. That's how they're lobbying.
Yeah,
they're buying political influence. And when you have a son, when you have a son of a president, and it's not like this homie's like Banksy or any of these like new pop artists or anything like that. This is clearly a scheme.
No one cares. No
But
one
he's the
cares.
smartest person our president's ever met. That's what he said.
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, Trump did profit while he was in office because Trump already had established businesses. I mean, yeah, that makes sense. And to be fair, I'll concede that, you know, sometimes like it can cause an issue. I understand that, but we're talking about somebody. I'm talking about someone who is not a known artist. Like Hunter Biden stuff is not hung up in any museum of contemporary art anywhere in the world.
My
It's not
question
just art. All of
his paintings are probably hanging up in Xi Jinping's like storage room because he's not hanging it up.
My question is, he said to a prostitute that he had multiple laptops stolen by Russian spies or whatever.
Yeah, while butt naked
doing drugs.
Yeah.
Or his second laptop was the one where they found all the texts of him trying to buy an Asian, but he didn't.
Oh yeah. You
Before that is where he was using the N-word nonstop, trying to be funny, insulting us, and I guess that's.
He used it. I thought he used a derogatory term for Asian people too, man.
No yellows.
No yellows. Yeah.
They didn't want to buy any yellows.
And
nobody wants to talk about the fact that he was trying to buy.
Hey, Hunter Biden. Not all Asians are yellow.
But it doesn't matter. He's allowed to do this, and then Trump's kids are attacked, and it's just not fair.
But the fact that he was buying a woman and discussing it, it gets ignored.
And there's videos of that dude literally smoking crack.
Yeah,
like on video. Talk about.
But if you post any of that stuff on they'll flag it as misinformation, or at least they used to. Because I'm like,
they still will. That's the problem. They still will. It was hard for me to find that dude's video.
But the Taliban,
right,
can take away and post whatever they want.
Yeah, their videos are all over the internet. But when I was searching for the Marine who was fired for his statement, I don't even think it's there anymore. I think
they pulled it off of YouTube. I think
You'll have to go to YouTube.
Why can't I find that?
If you ever want to see stuff like that, use Rumble.com. Don't use YouTube.
It's so jacked up. So I can see the Taliban hanging people. I can see all of this violence. I can see Hunter's ass and dick and prostitutes and shit. But I can't see news and try to figure out why this Marine was fired and make a decision for myself about whether or not I feel like he should have been fired. Because all they want you to know is that he was. I don't even know how would anyone be comfortable with a Marine being censored right now.
Okay. So let's talk about that Marine thing. And I don't know exactly. Do you have the video up? Do you have a video, or because I could sum it up. I mean, he pretty much just said like he wants accountability. Yeah, that's all he said. Like that was the gist of what he said. He wants accountability.
I could play
for what happened.
Hold on, let me.
Which is what the military is all about, by the way.
So I don't know what protocol is. I mean, I'm not gonna lie.
But accountability is what it is all about.
Sorry, it froze.
No, it's all right.
Technical difficulties
with my internet. What you believe in can only be defined by what you're willing to risk. So if I'm willing to risk my current battalion commander seat, my retirement, my family's stability to say some of the things that I want to say, I think it gives me some moral high ground to demand the same honesty, integrity, accountability from my senior leaders. And so I want to start with, we'll just use the Marine Corps. We'll just stick with the Marine Corps. So in the current fallout of Afghanistan, a lot of Marines were posting on social media. And in response to that, the Commandant published a letter, which is the service chief of the Marine Corps. And I want to read from it. It was dated 18 August, so only a week ago. The Commandant, sir, you wrote, some of you may be struggling with a simple question. Was it all worth it? We want you to know that your service was meaningful, powerful, and important. You fought for the Marine to your left and the Marine to your right. You never let them down. And then you go on to say that, if we're struggling, we should seek counseling, which, I get it. People have killed people. I've killed people and I seek counseling, and that's fine. There's a time and place for that. But the reason people are so upset on social media right now is not because the Marine on the battlefield let someone down. That service member has always rose to the occasion and done extraordinary things. People are upset because their senior leaders let them down,
Yep.
and none of them are raising their hands and accepting accountability or saying, we messed this up. If an 05 battalion commander has the simplest live fire incident EO complaint, boom, fired. But we have a Secretary of Defense that testified to Congress in May that the Afghan National Security Force could withstand the Taliban advance. We have chairmen of Joint Chief, who the Commandant is a member of that, who's supposed to advise on military policy. We have a Marine combatant commander. All of these people are supposed to advise. And I'm not saying we've got to be in Afghanistan forever, but I am saying, did any of you throw your rank on the table and say, hey, it's a bad idea to evacuate Bagram Airfield, the strategic air base, before we evacuate everyone? Did anyone do that? And when
We could keep going, but damn.
Yeah, that's pretty
That's
clear.
all right. Yeah, and so he was fired for posting this video. He was fired for it, and now the Marine Corps made some kind of statement. I think that they're pretty much saying that he's going through some sort of mental health crisis because it's just crazy to me because remember Vindman? Was it Colonel Vindman, one of the whistleblowers in the Trump administration?
Oh, I think this is
that mouthy looking dude with the glasses. Showed up and testified in Congress in his uniform and everything. But he was like hailed as a hero by the left, by the media for coming out and speaking up what he thought was wrong, but. Now this guy is doing the same thing against this administration, right? Here's the response. So he's fired, right? They're also treating him like he's crazy, right? They sent out something. I was reading it this weekend. They sent out something pretty much saying like, you can't disrespect, if you're in the military, pursuant to all these like military codes and all this. That you can't speak out badly against your senior leadership, including like the president of the United States and all this crazy stuff. All of a sudden, it's against the law and against the rules.
So Alexander Vindman wrote a book called Here, Right Matters. And he was, like you said, whistleblower and wrote a book. It became a bestseller because it was against Trump, and apparently that was okay.
All that matters.
And he did it while in uniform. He used his rank.
Call for accountability, and now the same thing's happening, and this gentleman's been relieved. And that's so frustrating because there he is talking about his family and what he's risking. In the very beginning of the video part that I didn't play, he was talking about if I have the balls to post this, So he did it. He did it, and exactly what he thought would happen, and that's so messed up that we're not calling for.
But now they send out guidance saying that you can't do this. The Biden administration, and someone had put a tweet out, and I don't remember who it was. I thought it was funny because it was just a regular person. It wasn't anyone famous or anything. But it was like the Biden administration is the administration you thought the Trump administration was going to be. between the lockdowns, between the military blunders that we're experiencing now, between embarrassing the United States on the international level. And I'm not talking about like Trump said some mean shit embarrassing, like where you set us back.
Yeah.
Well, even more
4 decades.
More embarrassing than that is Parliament held Joe Biden in contempt.
In contempt.
I don't think that's ever happened to a sitting American president. Not that I really care about them, but the leftists, all they've talked about is how, Trump is embarrassing us. Parliament. The UK held our president in contempt for totally leaving the Afghan government the way that they did.
For all they were worried about with the Trump administration of straining our alliances, right? All that talk they did, this one action here is calling the entire NATO thing into question. Now, something that a lot of people forget, if you want to look at things historically, NATO, the NATO alliance, it has an attack on one and it is an attack on all, right? Mm-hmm. That doctrine. I forgot the title or the article it is. I forgot what it is. But anyway, you know how many times it's been used? You You know how many times it's been used
How many?
in history?
You're gonna tell us.
Once. And you know when that time was? Afghanistan. That's the one time that has ever been invoked.
And
how long has that alliance been in place? 70 years? 80 years? Post World War II, right? Has never been invoked.
I'm just baffled by the intelligence failures that I keep thinking about. I mean, it seems like everyone knows that this was a mess up except Joe Biden.
Well, it seems and at the risk of having confirmation bias, but when you look at people, and I'm gonna say people like me and people even more like to the right of me who really do like feel that these people are un-American and their purpose is to stifle American power on the international level to make way for this idea of this like new world government or one world government, new world order, right? How the hell do you think this looks to people that feel this way? Because in one action, you weakened this country militarily and politically across the entire world. Say what you want about Trump. People were afraid of him, and they knew not to mess with his military. They got this guy's card. I would not be surprised if on the way out, because if Biden continues in office, he's not winning in 2 years unless they cheat again.
No, absolutely not.
He's not winning,
like you said.
But if he's on his way out, China invades Taiwan.
Why wouldn't they?
On his way out.
Why wouldn't they?
I say they do, and if it doesn't happen, thank God. If it did happen, you heard it here first.
Or in that tweet. Oh man.
It's super concerning. Like it's super concerning. I'm and the truth is like I am honestly worried what China's response to this is.
I haven't thought too much about it.
And they've talked about, the lithium mines in Afghanistan and all the natural resources they have, and China's already saying that they'd be willing to talk to the Taliban and legitimize their government. And guess what? Guess who gets access to that materials now?
Yep.
Like, I mean, it just like this is like a mess up on every possible level.
I don't know.
Every possible level.
So our southern border is still wide open. You have all these new refugees that can simply shave their beards. Of all people, I heard this idea from Sammy the Bull, former mobster hitman. He was like, our southern border is open. These guys can shave their beards and walk across our southern border. They're stealing passports and they're stealing visas. They're stealing everything from people there, and they're just jumping on planes. And we're just bringing them here by the thousands. We don't know who these people are. We're not vetted.
A lot of people, but this is where I'm gonna push back a little bit because we did vet a lot of those people. A lot of people that we worked with, the people that were, who are in the, they talked about how the Taliban got access to the biometrics and stuff. Like those people, like were in our database. We know everything about them because they work directly with, our soldiers. They work, fighting alongside our soldiers. Yes. And like those people, I truthfully believe, and I might be at odds with my MAGA community, and that's cool. I'll be at odds with them. But
no, they're more American.
We owe those. I'm sorry, we owe those people. We owe them. Like they bought into our notion of freedom. They fought. They put their lives. They put their families' lives on the line for that idea. Then we absolutely owe them. We owe them just as much as we would go in and get an American out. We got to get those people out too.
Couldn't agree
it's
more.
So shameful.
Right.
Couldn't agree more. But the problem is, those people are getting their paperwork stolen and taken. They're saying it. They're telling people on MSNBC.
Yeah, I haven't heard about that. They're taking their
They're taking
passports.
our paperwork. So who you're getting is not me, because I'm still stuck here. So yes, I agree. Couldn't agree more. But they're not vetting the people who are on those planes. They may be looking at paperwork, but it ain't the people who they say it is, because the people who have the paperwork are saying they are taking our paperwork.
Oh my gosh.
And we're stuck here.
Yeah.
What a freaking disaster. This comment just popped up. Did you guys want to?
I don't even know.
Yeah. I'm not saying that we should. I'm saying that in the aftermath of all this now, we're not going to. Like, we shouldn't. But if China does, that's going to give them access to, like, them as a trading partner. And China doesn't give two shits about human rights. So they don't care if they're throwing homosexuals off of roofs. They don't care if they're, like, shooting women and, you know, executing people just because they worked with the U.S. government or whatever reason. China doesn't care about that.
Themselves.
All China cares about is getting access to those resources, or hell, for all we know, they're going to move the hell into the skeletons of that air base.
Well, I think what they were saying, or what he could be saying too, is like, so we should have legitimized them more. Like, what should we have done? But the beginning,
going back to the Trump plan, the idea was that the Taliban and the Afghan government were going to have to come together to form a joint government under the threat of U.S. military force if either side decides to, like, threaten American interests.
Yeah.
You know, and I understand that, like, we at the end of the day, like, it's unfortunate that we have to cut the Taliban in. It's super unfortunate, you know, that they're not defeated, they're not gone after 20 years. It's super unfortunate, but you have to be realistic here within that country. And the second that we're gone, they were going to come right back up.
There should have been a plan to get our people out, to get our weapons out. And
no, what should have happened was the whole Afghan war should have been only hindered on whether or not we got Osama bin Laden.
Mm.
Yeah.
You know, this is something that I'm going to criticize President Obama, and don't roll your eyes at this. I mean this in, like, a different type of way.
I'm gonna roll my eyes.
Don't, I promise. You know, when President Obama got Osama bin Laden, right? Mm-hmm. When he had him, when he killed him, right? I actually thought that President Obama was going to use that as the justification to leave Afghanistan. I always thought, I was like, I remember talking to people and be like, watch, because remember, I voted for Obama. I was excited about Obama, right? And I remember telling people, like, watch, President Obama's going to go, he's going to get bin Laden, and after you get bin Laden, that loses all justification for this war on terror. Like, we don't need to be in Afghanistan. The whole point of us going there was to get Al-Qaeda and to kill Osama bin Laden. Once you eliminate him out the equation, what do we need to be there for? And I always thought Obama was going to use it as a catalyst to, like, oh, yeah, mission accomplished. We got him. Let's start going home. And then it was like, boom, like 10 years later, we're still there, you know?
Yeah. I don't know what happened there.
But
yeah.
So, well, what happened is strategically,
we were already in too deep.
Just up and leave, because this is what would have happened. Yeah. So he's never been dumb by any means.
No.
He could not leave. So I think he realized he couldn't leave. He started drawing down. That's the same thing when I said earlier. Trump came in, thought he was going to leave, and said, "Oh no, we can't." Still drew down, and we managed it accordingly. 2,500 people is not a lot. Yeah. It's just not. Again, we still have people in Korea. Yeah. So I don't even remember what year that was, but that thought process should have been in mind. Like, okay, we can leave just by not being at war, and we haven't been at war. So the thought process and the money, I'll never understand why people are still talking about money when we literally left billions of dollars worth of stuff there as if we couldn't have used it. So I don't even know why people talk about the money aspect. And
what do you mean the money aspect?
Well, how much it cost to wage the war.
Oh, yeah, how many trillions of dollars we spent there.
Okay, well, we left $82 billion just sitting there right now. Is that better to you? Or would you rather be utilizing what we're paying for? Instead, we just left it. And that's the part that I don't understand.
I don't understand.
I know, like all the
Failing.
memes I saw from like all the gun nuts, like like
I just
they
wanna
were
be
like
able
all
to
these like
own
sad
something
face, all
like
these sad face memes, like man, me thinking about all the cool toys that got left behind for the Taliban to play with,
Like the next day, they're walking around in our body
that I paid for.
with our what? Yeah.
What'd you say, Tito? I missed.
No, like the very next day, they're walking around with our body armor. They have our guns, and
I know, man. Damn, now the
Really
Taliban got
wrong.
better guns than I do.
yeah, that's crazy.
Terrible.
Yeah. So the main meme that I saw was, I just want to be able to own the type of gun that I paid for the Taliban to carry.
That's the one I saw.
That was my favorite one.
Oh my gosh. What an F up. What an F up.
Yeah,
But you know, this, no one's worried about COVID over there. Isn't that weird? Like, yes, a lot of people wear masks, but no, it's not as deadly over there. It's not something to be concerned with. I just thought that was interesting. Like, that's weird. It doesn't matter at the border. It doesn't matter when people are chasing down airplanes. But here,
I mean, I think we could all agree that that's
thought I'd
not
throw
very
that out there.
concern at the moment is wearing a mask.
Why? It's deadly. It's killing everybody,
Well,
right?
this is an actual war, a physical war that's happening.
If it's what they
hey, let me just say this.
what they say.
Hold on one second. No, what I was gonna say is you can deal with a quarantine when you get to the States.
All I gotta say is World War I.
What about World War One?
Dude, that was Spanish flu.
Oh, okay, got it.
Like,
yeah, I'm not a history buff. You gotta like say what you're talking
I
about.
was saying, like, Spanish flu in World War One. Like, I mean, they fought during a damn I'm talking about a real pandemic here. You know, not this like. Not
well,
this,
we weren't there. You don't know if it wasn't a real
not this plandemic.
I don't know if it was, oh God, did you really just say that? Like, I literally can't.
That was really bad.
Okay, so anywho, we don't know what they're doing around COVID. That's all I'm gonna say.
We know what they're doing on the border around COVID.
We do know what they're doing.
Why would it be any different?
That's a little crazy to think about too. I think our government right now just I, as an American, am demanding some kind of an accountability from these people. This is absolutely ridiculous. And I hate that I can't find anything. Well, I can find articles that are criticizing what's happening, but I'm also finding a whole lot of people defending Biden and blaming Trump. And it's really frustrating because how can we move forward if everyone's just blaming the prior president? We go through this and we said the same thing about Trump blaming Obama. So think about that when you're trying to blame Trump for what this decisions that this president made. He had a plan handed to him. He had time. This wasn't something that happened on January 1st. No, he made decisions that killed people.
Yeah, there's a difference in the blaming though. Trump said, this is what he left me with, and then offered solutions and went forward. Yeah. This guy's just blaming him because it went bad.
Yeah.
That's completely different in my mind.
I mean, yeah, Brian's not wrong. Blame Bush. But you know, and
20 years, right? 20-year anniversary.
20 years, yeah. Coming up on it now. Oof, terrible.
Back to Bush.
Oh, I had something good right now, and I lost it.
Sorry.
Damn it.
Oh
yeah. It has something to do with Trump and blaming Trump, and blaming Biden, and everyone blaming each other.
Yeah.
And I forgot what it was. If it comes back, I'll bring it up again. Now I'm gonna think for a second.
Biden was there when Obama was in office, so we could just keep blaming.
Well, what's funny is Biden was against getting Bin Laden. He didn't want to do the kill. Was it Bin Laden? Yeah, it was Bin Laden.
Oh, he advised against doing the operation?
Yes. Yeah, he advised.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Why would he do that?
I don't know.
Because he didn't do anything in 50 years.
Apparently not. I mean, now he's doing a lot. Just
I don't know who it is, though. I want to know who they is, because they're doing a lot. It's not him. It's they. Allow him to answer questions or tell him he can't, and then he turns around and scuffles out. Something's. I want to know who they is.
Even that video that someone posted of the White House staff aggressively shooing the media out of, I think it was the
Imagine
Oval
if that was
Office.
under Trump. Oh my God.
No,
Oof.
wait, what? What'd you say?
Imagine
Yeah.
if that was under Trump doing that. That guy stood there for hours answering hostile questions. This guy speaks at like 0.5x. No one knows what he's talking about. He's just
He doesn't know what he's talking about. And then they shuffle the media out. All right, guys, no more questions. Get out, get out, get out. And he's just sitting there staring.
And the media does it though. That's the weird part.
It's insane.
I mean, the buyer's remorse has to be real. I mean, people have to see this, right?
I think so. I hope so. I feel like
I just don't think they want to eat crow.
But how do you justify this? How do you justify this as a voter?
Pretend it's not happening.
But
it would have happened to anybody.
Oh my gosh, that's so frustrating.
Yeah, here it is.
I just can't. I can't.
Yeah, Joe Biden advised against Osama bin Laden raid. Barack Obama wrote.
Awesome.
I'm still here for the Biden smoke.
Any final thoughts on tonight's discussion as we near our 9 o'clock?
I mean,
right now.
First, just just pray for the families of those those servicemen and women that we lost for sure, and throw some prayers out there for the people affected by this. I mean, we're sitting here, we're pissed off, but we have the luxury of being pissed off versus like living that, there's people, this affected a lot of people. There's, our servicemen and women who served over there for the last 20 years or, they're going, a lot of them are going through some hard times in the aftermath of all this. So make sure you check up on your people. Offer them any type of support, and if they come out, but that's really all I have to add for it.
Support Lieutenant Colonel Stuart Scheller, who posted that video and was fired because that's BS and it's just so inconsistent with what has happened in the past.
Yeah, the thing is, it's within the rights. He's not like he's, you know what I mean? He's within the rights. Just
he's not doing anything that's treasonous. Sorry, Tito, didn't mean to cut you off.
And he's not doing it on the war field. But I would say this is coming from somebody on the far right. At some point, you got to stop with the politics and just acknowledge when something's wrong. And when I say wrong, I'm not talking about mean. The reason I was able to laugh at all the Trump stuff is because there was no impact on people's lives. It was just him being quote unquote mean to people and being a jerk. When you see somebody costing people lives, at what point do you stop with the politics and stop trying to draw that parallel that's clearly not there? Because I don't know if it was 11, 12, 13 Americans died, and you're saying, well, what about Trump? Like, you guys came up with that whataboutism nonsense, and now here you are with literal lives being lost saying, oh, well, what about Trump? He was mean. He talked about Rosie. Like, this is not the same thing. It's not even close. So the politics part is what annoys me, because you asked for this and now you got it. And now you can't even be man enough or woman enough to deal with that. This is what you wanted. This is what you're going to get. And this isn't, saying the blood is on your hands, but this is what you asked for. Empathy, supposedly, but I don't see any empathy for the people who are stuck over there. Right now.
And one can argue a return to normalcy.
It will,
and all the craziness all the craziness of the dumb stuff that our government does. And Brian brought it up earlier. Like, we keep thinking of foreign policy as a partisan issue. The only thing that looks the same among the parties is our stance on foreign policy. And you know what? You're not necessarily wrong. Like the hawks on both sides of that political spectrum, left and right, they got to make their money. We know what we know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. And that was the cool thing about Trump is Trump turned that over on its head. And that's why I had said in the 2016 that there's only two real candidates, and that was Trump and Bernie Sanders, because they were the two change candidates. And we voted for change with Obama. We've been wanting that for 12 years or 16 years now. That's what the American people have wanted. But now that we got change with Trump, we did get that change, for better or worse, or however you feel about it. But guess what? You wanted to return to normalcy. This is starting to look familiar again, right, people?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Damn. Yeah. I'm more along the lines of Tito as far as the politics, get the politics out of your head and just what's right and wrong at this point. If you are not outraged by his decisions and are not starting to question his lack of ability to speak in front of a crowd, to answer questions from Americans and from our, families who are just trying to, get questions answered and stuff. If you're not like outraged by his ability to just do whatever he wants. And like you said, who is giving him the list of people to ask him questions? Who is running the presidency right now? It's not Joe Biden. And this is a mess.
Weekend at Bernie's. That's why I keep saying. That's why I keep calling it. They're just dragging him around doing whatever.
Weekend at Biden's.
And they messed up because he fell asleep while talking to the Israeli prime minister. So they're supposed to keep him awake at a very minimum.
No, that's super embarrassing.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, good night, everyone. Thank you guys for joining. This was a tough discussion. I feel like I'm just like so disappointed. And so hopefully,
maybe we can go some lighter topics next time.
Yeah, we'll go maybe.
Just one, then we get serious again.
Yeah. We can stay serious, but usually we have a light topic. This was just an hour long.
Nothing funny about it. There's nothing.
Nothing funny about this. Yep, absolutely not. So anyway, thank you everyone for joining. Check out our website, and we'll be posting this later this week.
Have a good night, everyone.